Hello and welcome to the Off the Post podcast number 2. I'm one of your hosts, Jack Conroy, joined by Noah Thomas, and we're back to talk more about the NHL season. It has been an interesting start, and let's get right into it here with how COVID has already had an impact about a quarter of the way through the season. COVID came in hot, and we have had a ton of guys on the COVID protocol list. A little refresher, if you don't remember from our first podcast, guys have like contact tracing. There's so much into it. Everyone's quarantining outside of the team, masks, everything. But you kind of, as a league, got to assume some people are going to get it. So that's why they built in the taxi squad, like we talked about last time, to kind of mitigate all these COVID problems. But they still hit, and they hit pretty hard. Teams like the Devils had upmost to 20 players on the list, and there's been a lot of postponed games, and it's kind of just been running its course through the league. Well, let's talk about where the kind of protocol list is at now. We have 2 players on the Avalanche who missed. This is all from yesterday, bear in mind. They missed a game. 1 Wild player, 1 Devil, 1 Ranger, 1 Senator, 6 Flyers, and 1 Golden Knight. So, yeah, it really is going through the league right now, and I kind of want to get your opinion on this, Noah. Like, what do you think the league should turn to? Because clearly it's been a problem. How do you think it's affected the players and everything?
Yeah, it's about what we expected, and they're being strict about it, but there's not much they can do. They're doing the contact tracing. Almost all teams have been affected by this, but there's not much they can do. They're waiting their turn to get the vaccines, and they just want to make it through this season.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the greatest responses. I mean, they shortened the season. They've done what they want to do. And the only people obviously not getting affected from it is the Canadian teams. So, yeah, it's just going to have to run its course, and some players are going to miss some games. And let's go into our next topic here, the Lake Tahoe games. We have 2 outdoor hockey games this weekend. The Avalanche versus the Golden Knights. That's going to be on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, we have the Flyers versus the Bruins at 2 p.m. Eastern. So this is going to kind of be a nice fresh start. Obviously, there's no fans, but it's nice to see some outdoor hockey, and these are some good matchups. But I wanted to get into this kind of related to the COVID stuff because the Flyers, you guys don't know this, but they're actually my favorite team. I've been keeping close tabs on this, have kind of had COVID hit them, and they're going to be playing this game basically with the half AHL roster. They had to rip through their taxi squad because they're missing a good amount of forwards, and they're missing some stars. Claude Giroux's out, Travis Konechny, Oscar Lindblom, Scott Lawton. I mean, and I think I'm missing a few, Justin Braun. They're missing a good portion of their team, and they're going to have to play the Boston Bruins, who they're probably going to be in the battle with for the division all year once, you know, the Flyers obviously get over this COVID hump and stuff and make up their delayed games. But I just want to get into this because I think these are going to be great games. And no, I think you'll agree with me. It's going to be nice to see some outdoor hockey. And are you excited for it?
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of it. The ice looks really good. It's great sights. And I think no matter what, the players are going to be going a little harder out there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, outdoor games always are kind of like, I treat them almost like playoff games because guys get energized for them. They love them. And, oh, my gosh, Lake Tahoe is absolutely beautiful. Just the scenery there is great. And, it should be a great game. What are your picks out of the 2 games? Do you have the Avalanche or the Golden Knights, or do you have the Flyers or the Bruins?
I think the Golden Knights are going to win theirs, and then the Bruins are going to win.
Yeah, I'm going to actually have to completely agree with you. With the Flyers obviously not having the full squad, I think the Bruins will destroy them. And I think the Avalanche and Golden Knights will probably be the better game. So if you guys are deciding to watch one, probably watch the Avalanche versus Golden Knights game That will be a great one. Hopefully, you get some overtime in there or something. And yeah, I do believe the Golden Knights will win that one as well. And then going into our next topic, we've had some surprising teams kind of, have a great start to the season. I mean, I started the first podcast off basically talking about how the Blackhawks were done, and they were just going to fold over. They didn't have Tays, they didn't have whatever. And yeah, they've had a good start. They've gone to a lot of overtimes, but they are winning games, and that is what matters in a shortened season. I could see the Blackhawks sneaking in there, and it's just with the shortened season, like we're talking about, any team could sneak in. And if they are just playing well enough to keep it going, they could do great things in the playoffs. And let's just talk about some other teams here. The Florida Panthers, another team, maybe didn't have the highest expectations going into the season. They are currently leading their division. Then again, they do have Joe Quenneville, one of the greatest coaches ever, but no one really expected the Panthers to do anything. Any team could make a splash this season. I think the Winnipeg Jets are kind of also a little bit of a surprise. Defense doesn't seem so. They're hanging in there. The Canadians are off to an extremely hot start. And Noah, do any other teams jump out at you that are having a great start to the season?
Yeah, I think the Anaheim Ducks are overachieving right now. Trevor Zegras is actually playing in San Diego. But John Gibson is having a great start to the season, and he's a huge reason why they're winning right now.
Yeah, I know. I thought the Ducks would probably just have another down year. They do have one of the top prospect pools in the league. They're going to need to feed some guys in. But them and the Kings have also been on a winning streak. So, guys, anyone, and the Coyotes are currently in a playoff position. Anyone can sneak in. You just need to get the chemistry going at the right time, and just, in the shortened season, anything can happen. And now, let's talk about something I thought was extremely interesting. The Dubois drama in Columbus, which led to a Laine trade. Over the offseason, there was a lot of noise about a potential Laine trade to sign a big contract, and with the flat cap because of COVID, there was a lot of talk that he might get traded because he's going to get signed to a big deal, and he just wasn't really fitting with the Jets. Obviously, we know, I don't know if our viewers know, John Tortorella, the Columbus Blue Jackets coach, is a very, very, very strict coach, will bench guys. He is a very good coach, but some people don't like the way he runs things. Dubois was not getting many minutes because Tortorella, he won't really admit it, but didn't think he put enough effort in, and, they had their drama. So it led to a Dubois to the Winnipeg Jets and Patrick Laine to the Columbus Blue Jackets blockbuster trade. What did you think about this, Noah?
I think it's an interesting trade, and I think Columbus won it, but it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic between Tortorella and Laine. Laine's been known to have some work ethic problems, so we'll see if that changes.
Yeah, exactly. And he was already benched, which led to immediate drama. It was kind of resolved, but it was a little weird because it was Laine's third or fourth game with them, and he was benched throughout the third period. If you're not working out there, Tortorella is not afraid to just sit you down. He is not afraid of anyone, and that's just how he coaches his teams, which is respectable. But when you have a star in, you don't want to get him angry necessarily. But I do agree with you. I think Columbus will win that trade. I think Patrick Laine has great potential in this league, and he's already shown flashes of that. He just needs to, regroup with the Blue Jackets and just build off that and become the pure sniper that he was drafted to be. And let's lead into our another topic. There's been some noise that fans may be able to enter some arenas soon. New York was talking about that specifically. I think the Islanders were going to be allowing 10% of their fans, maybe less. But that is great news. Nevertheless, Noah, how are you feeling about potentially seeing a Blackhawks game this season or something?
It's great news. Some teams have started to ask about that. I know Columbus said they're going to start to allow 3,000 fans, and I think it's good for the players. And so hopefully by the playoffs we'll see more filled arenas.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of guys in this league, believe it or not, have huge performance impacts off the crowd. Some guys just feed off the crowd, like all their energy. They make spectacular plays. They have the skill, obviously, crowd there or not, but the crowd can really get you energized. Players always talk about, oh, the crowd. If the crowd's going, it's crazy. So that is going to be great if we can get some fans back in the arena watching these guys. And it's just kind of another good sign. I mean, an indoor arena, it's cold. It's kind of a COVID breeding ground, to be honest, but it is a great sign to see some of these places opening back up to fans, and that's just great news. So let's get into another one here. I didn't really want to talk about trophies that much, but let's just talk about who we think is the front runner for the President's Trophy. For our viewers out there who don't know what the President's Trophy is, it is the team that ends the regular season with the most points. So, Noah, just from the four divisions, I want to hear your prediction for who has the best chance from each division.
All right. So first in the North Division, and I think maybe the best in the whole league right now is the Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews is just tearing it up right now. He's the best goal scorer in the league right now, I'd say.
Yeah, that pick there, I'm exactly with you. The Maple Leafs, they did make a little bit of a splash the other couple of days because they did choke a 5-1 lead to the Senators. But again, when you're playing the Senators 10 times whatever they play them this year, they have a spectacular chance to win the President's Trophy. Let's move on to the Central Division, Noah, and who you think has the best chance there to win the President's?
Definitely the Lightning. They're one of the best teams in the league still. And, I mean, they'll probably run away with the division.
Exactly. I completely agree again. The Lightning, defending champs, they're going to want to go into the playoffs and just stand their ground. I think they also will make a splash and make a play for that President's Trophy. And then the East Division, Noah.
In the East, this one's maybe the toughest, but I think the Flyers, once they get healthy again, I think they'll start winning more games. And they've already been off to a good start.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you, but I may have to go with the Bruins. The Bruins, I do believe, are on the downcline because a lot of their guys are getting old. Let's remember here, Bergeron's like 35, Chara left, but they're still playing well. They have Pastrnak. He's young and he's great. But I think it's going to be a close race between the Flyers and the Bruins. Like you said, the Flyers getting healthy. They've already played pretty well, even having a bad start on the ice. If you watched any of their games, they're sticking with the division, and I do think it's going to be toss up between those two teams. And then let's talk about the West Division.
I think the Golden Knights. They just gave Robin Leonard $25 million, but right now Marc-Andre Fleury might be their best goalie. They just added Alex Pietrangelo. I don't see how they lose the division.
Yeah, I do have the Golden Knights as well. I think I did have the Avalanche near the start of the season. I thought they were going to make a bigger splash, but it's early. They could get up there, but I do agree. I think the Golden Knights, especially with that off-season edition of Pietrangelo, they just look good. And how about those golden helmets? Have you seen any of those games? The Golden Knights are just wearing bright gold helmets, and they're getting some hate on them, I'm seeing, but I think they look pretty decent. But no, I do think the Golden Knights will have the best chance at the Presidents for that division. So now let's get into your neck of the woods. Your favorite team, the Chicago Blackhawks, have had a very surprising start in my book. Maybe you saw this from the start, but wow, they have looked good. A couple of these games have gone to overtime. I feel like they're in overtime every other night, but they're winning, and that's all that matters. And when you don't have Taves, I mean, that's a pretty good sign. Talk about the Blackhawks.
Yeah, going into the year, I don't think anybody expected them to do this. But right now, in their last 17 games, only 3 of them have been regulation losses, and all those 3 have been by 1 goal. So they're sticking with the good teams. And then they have some good rookies right now. Pius Suter has 10 points, and he has the most goals by a rookie. We expected that maybe because comparing him to Dominic Kubalik in the Swiss League. And then some guys we didn't expect. Philip Kurashev is right now 4th in points. He shot an unreal goal against Detroit. And Kevin Lankinen is probably the reason why they're being so competitive right now. He's 2nd among rookie goalies in save percentage and goals against average, and his team is giving up the most shots per game among anybody in the league.
Yeah, when you look at this Blackhawks team, they were going to need the rookies to step up here. I mean, you have Patrick Kane, you have Duncan Keith. These guys, they're getting older, and they're still superstars. Let's not say their age is going to absolutely kill their production, but eventually you're going to lose some of that production. And with Taves having that illness, that was the thing that kind of killed it for me. I'm like, oh, the Blackhawks are done. They should probably tank. They should probably be sellers at the deadline, but now you kind of had a toss-up. Depending how they play through the next quarter of the season, get to the halfway point, that's when we'll get a good gauge for if this team's legit. They could make a play at the playoffs and get in, and once you're there, it's anyone's game. But wow, what a great start. I mean, even with your top leader guy, Taves, everyone talks about how good of a leader is. He's such a great player. You kind of think that's going to deflate the team, but no, with this rookie production, they look fast out there, and they look good. The Blackhawks are in an interesting spot, and hopefully they keep winning because their games seem interesting. If it's going to overtime and all that, and it's probably great for a fan. So now lastly, we did our playoff predictions last podcast, but Noah, let's refresh these predictions. Starting off with the North Division, what is your 4 that go into playoffs look like, and any changes there? I don't even remember what I said, but I'd probably have changes.
I think I had Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg, and Calgary, and I'm actually going to stick with that. I think those 4 teams are right now playing well, and I think they'll end up in the playoffs, those 4.
Yes, mine is very similar. I have the Maple Leafs, Canadiens, the Jets, and then I have the Oilers instead of Calgary. I just think McDavid and Draisaitl can get you into the playoffs. I think McDavid already has like 32 points or something. He has some insane number of points. It's just automatic for him. Him and Draisaitl are just the greatest duo. They're going to lead with points every year now. They're crazy, and I think that will get the Oilers into the playoffs. I don't think they're a necessarily great team because they have goaltender issues, defense issues, and kind of need some more lines to produce besides McDavid and Draisaitl. But I think they'll still get in. Let's go into the Central Division. Any changes there?
Yeah, so I have the Panthers making it now. I don't know if I had them before. And then I have the Lightning, the Hurricanes, and the Stars. The Blue Jackets have had a rough start to the year. We'll see if they figure it out. And then I don't think the Blackhawks will be able to hold on for all 56 games.
Yeah, mine is very similar. I have the Lightning, the Stars, the Hurricanes, and I think that last spot is going to go to the Panthers. But it is I think it will be a close race between the Blue Jackets and Blackhawks in there as well. So that should be an interesting end of the season to watch there. And then let's get into the East. Any changes with you now?
Yeah, so I'm going to have the Bruins making it. They've been off to a hot start, so they'll probably be able to hold on at least to the playoffs. And then the Islanders, the Flyers, and the Penguins. I think the Penguins are going to make some moves to get in. They got Ron Hextall as the general manager and Brian Burke as the president. So I think there's going to be some changes, and they're going to make it in.
Yeah, that's actually a great thing to bring up. I actually want to touch on that now. As a person who watched Ron Hextall work in the Philadelphia system for 6 years until he got fired, I think that is a decent hire from the Penguins, but I do think that is kind of a warning sign to Crosby and Malkin because he has been a GM that has drafted young talent. And you look at the Flyers now, abundance of young talent. That's all from Ron Hextall's drafting skill. And the reason he got fired was he couldn't transfer that young talent into the NHL roster with the stars, being Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek in their primes. So that he got some flack for that, and that's what led him to get fired. Then again, he did hire Dave Haxtell, which was not a good coach hire at all, which also led to his firing. But his skills are really in drafting young players, and Crosby and Malkin might not have another shot with that hiring. Maybe he makes some insane additions, but I really don't see the Penguins being super contenders unless they get some picks or some other guys to help out in the next 2-4 years about. But yeah, my list there is Bruins, Flyers, Capitals, and Penguins. I think the Islanders and Penguins will both be fighting for that last spot, and I think the Penguins will probably sneak in. And then let's go lastly into the West Division.
All right, so in the West, the top three is going to stay the same. Vegas, Colorado, and St. Louis. And then I'm going to have Arizona making it. At first I had Minnesota, but they haven't been off to a great start. Kaprizov has been helping them out, but Connor Garland, Nick Schmaltz have been doing great in Arizona this year.
Yes, you have to think at this point, the Blues, Golden Knights, and Avalanche, they're just going to be the top dogs there. They're going to be the ones to lead the division. And then I think I like how it looks right now. I think maybe the Coyotes sneak in, but I think it's anyone's game down there. If the Ducks do something, the Kings, the Sharks obviously have been disappointing. I think they're not going to do anything, but I think between the Coyotes, Kings, Ducks, and maybe if the Wild get back in there, it'll be an interesting race for that last spot in the division. And it should be a great, some great games to watch through as we get to the next quarter of the season and near the halfway point. Should be awesome. You got anything else to say, Noah?
It's going to be interesting to see who holds on and who falls off here. All you need is a run, maybe get some points in 10 games, and you're basically in a playoff spot.
Yeah, okay, all right. That is going to do it for our hockey podcast, Off the Post podcast number 2. Thank you so much for listening to our predictions, all the news throughout the league, everything. We'll keep you updated, and thank you so much. We'll see you guys in the next one.